Hello lovelies, so I have a mixed media layout for you today, and this is using a lot of Flutterby Designs supplies. It's a little bittersweet. I don't know if you haven't heard the news, Flutterby Designs is actually closing. So Neat has had to make the tough decision to close down the shop. So, yeah, it's pretty sad, but, you know, silver lining, that means there's going to be a big sale tomorrow. So tomorrow, Saturday the 10th, starting at 3 p.m. New South Wales time, I think, there's going to be a big sale on the website. So make sure you head on over and grab yourself a bit of a bargain. But basically, I just wanted to share this post with you today just to remind you there's a big sale coming up, and also, you know, to share some of my favourite Flutterby stuff. So I started with some paint. So what happened is I actually had two pictures in mind for this, and I drew the colours from those pictures. As I was putting the layout together, Will came in and said he didn't want me to share those pictures online. So respecting his request, I went back through and found a different photo. So I had to change it up a bit. So I started with all the bluey greens. I love these colours. I do. I think I'm going to have to get some more paint tomorrow. And then I went in with, I actually let it dry because I like to do that little crisscross across the page and let it dry naturally. I'm very impatient, so I tend to do this when I know I have to go somewhere and won't be able to finish the layout, or if I'm doing dinner or something. So that way it dries naturally. Drying this with a heat gun would take forever, and it just doesn't happen. So then I've come in with an art foamy. I love my art foamies, and it was actually Neat that got me onto art foamies. So I always associate my art foamies with her. And I came in with some white, but I didn't like it. It just toned it down too much. And then I ran some white over to what was left, because nothing goes to waste on my paint palette. And it just toned it down too much. I wasn't happy, so I thought, let's keep going. So I brought back some of that darker bluey green. It's my favourite colour, and I'm pretty much out, as you could see. And I decided to bring in some more with that art foamy. Now, the reason I chose that art foamy was because the pictures I chose there was a lot of dirt involved, and I just really liked this this art foamy. It went. So I'm going through, and I finally just settled on a photo. I was going to use this one of my nephew, but then as I'm going through looking for something to embellish it with, because what I did is I got out my boy collection, so the Extreme Teen and the Rad and all that, which is all in a bag by itself. I sort my Flutterby stuff into kits, so into themes. And I also got out the parenting one for the photo that I was going to use. So then as I'm flicking through looking for something to embellish my nephew's photo, which is the photo I thought I'd go with, it actually ended up better for this photo that I have there. The only reason I didn't like this photo is because it's a bit dark. It is a picture of me and my boys and my husband, the four of us just in my room, all squished together on the bed, pulling funny faces. And it's a great photo. It's really dark, and I can't remember when I took it, so I couldn't go back on my computer and lighten it up. I probably could after the fact, maybe, if I remember where it is. So what happens is I print off a bunch of photos, and on my desk next to me, once I've put my photos in my album and done my Project Life, I usually end up with some spares, and I put them on a pile next to me. So if I want to do a layout and I haven't got a specific photo in mind, I tend to choose from the spare pile, which is off to my right. And yeah, so this is where this photo came from. But yeah, it was a bit dark, but I decided to work with it anyway because it was kind of perfect for the collections I had picked out. So in the end, I decided to use the Parent of the Year collection. This is not too old, actually. I think it might have come out mid last year. I think we were at retreat when it came out, I think. Yes. So it's one of the newer collections, and there's lots of cool stuff in it. I think I end up going with Whose Bloody Kids Are These Anyway, or something like that. As always, when I do a mixed media layout, my embellishing is not very heavy. It's very, very light, because I know you're supposed to say a background is in the background, but I love my backgrounds, and I tend to use them as a very big focal point in my layouts. So when I do embellish on a heavily mixed media background, it's very light because I like my background to actually be an embellishment point. And as you can see by me moving around my photo, because I wanted to get in as much of that background as I could. Layering, I use the Everyday Etc cards. Now, I do know there are still a fair few Everyday Etc cards left on the website, so make sure you get in there tomorrow and grab some of them, because they're fantastic, not only for Project Life, but I love the titles and the quotes in them. I tend to use a lot of them for quotes in my art journal, titles in my scrapbooking, because there's just some really cool ones in there. And if you look through some of my past videos and some of my past Flutterby posts, you'll see that I tend to use the Everyday Etc cards a lot, the quotes a lot, by fussy cutting them out and things like that. So yeah, definitely a good little buy. So I was going through the bits and pieces. I love this one here. Parenthood is like a walk in the park, Jurassic Park. Cooper loves Jurassic Park. It's a big thing in our family, and I probably could have found a better layout to make this work on, but it went with my colours and I liked it, so I plonked it on the page. And then I've used the Whose Bloody Kids Are These die cut, because I'm including my husband in that too. He's like my third child. He really is. And then I've got some hearts that match my colours. So my colours are obviously all that teal and blue and green in the background, but then also a bit of that, what colour would you call that? Sand or wood grain type colour, which I've used just as a contrast to layer my photo. And then I've used the matching hearts as well. Now, I was going to leave it there, but then I thought, no. When I look at this photo, I think of, that's my crazy crew. This is my crazy family. So I decided to stamp that out. Now, I have these foam stamps that I love. They're individual letters. And when I use them, I don't use ink, I use paint. Now, I use paint because I really like that big, bold, being able to see it. I don't like any patches or anything like that. So I use paint because I find it gives me better coverage. So I use paint, black paint and a brayer, and yeah, I go to town. So I end up stamping my crazy crew, but in the photo, you'll notice that I went back and I added that's my crazy crew, because when I'm looking at it, it just sort of, it lines up with the top of my photo too much, if that makes sense. It's visually unappealing to me, so I needed that extra word to offset it, just to make it more appealing to the eye. And then, of course, nothing goes to waste, so I threw in some black splatters all over the place out of my leftover black paint. So that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and make sure you head on over tomorrow. Also in the Facebook HQ group, we'll be hanging around there tomorrow afternoon. I know Neat's hoping to jump on and do a scrap session. I'll be hanging around, Let's all share the Flutterby love, because, we're gonna miss Neat and all her cool stuff. So let's give her some love and send her off with some love. All right, that's it from me. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.